All right, welcome into the Three Guys Talking Ball podcast. It is episode 70. It is the Zach Martin edition. It is coming to you on a Thursday. It is March. I don't even know what day. It'd be
20th.
March 23rd. 23rd, yeah, we got it.
20th. Yep, nailed it.
Well, we're recording on the 20th. It's released on the 23rd, though. So,
This is true.
yeah. So, we got that final. The Sweet 16 is set. We're going to recap the wild weekend of the NCAA tournament where we saw a 16 seed beat a 1 seed for the second time in tournament history. A 15 seed advanced to the Sweet 16, and whatever else comes up. Michigan, their season ended in the Sweet 16, but hockey team did get a Big Ten championship.
Michigan
So
lost
overall
in
for
19.
Big Michigan athletics, it's been a good year. Big Ten football championship, a Sweet 16 appearance in college basketball, and Big Ten championship in hockey. So not a bad year for Michigan.
Dude, I'm not going to lie right now, Dylan. You're coming off as one of these try-hard parents with Michigan right now. We made it to the Sweet 16 in the NIT.
It's called propaganda. Look it up.
No, it's not.
No, it's
stupidity.
That's exactly what it is.
You're becoming, in terms of Michigan basketball, a participation trophy parent.
No, I'm not.
Nobody.
They made it to it is factual that they made it to the Sweet 16.
But nobody cares about the NIT.
Who they lose to? Which irrelevant mid-major?
They didn't lose to a mid-major. They lost to the Harvard of the South in Vanderbilt.
Only people
Basically,
who say that are the people who live in Nashville who want to feel better about themselves.
Well, I mean, Skip Bayless went there, and that guy's extremely intelligent. You know, he's never had a bad take in his
That
life.
guy is such a cocksucker. I can't stand him.
he sucks.
But anyways, we'll go back to the NCAA tournament, the quote unquote real tournament that everybody cares about. I don't know if we want to recap. I don't think there's a whole lot to. We're not going to recap every game. We'll just kind of highlight some of the top ones in the first round, and then go on to predictions in the Sweet 16 and see who's going to be playing in the Final Four. But guys, how's everybody's bracket looking so far?
Not great. Last night kind of screwed me. So Grant will probably win steak dinner. I hope you get sick from it.
Back to back, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, we right now as we update the scores right now, Grant is in first place with 480 points. We're using the ESPN app. I'm in second with 380 points. Ethan's also tied for second with 380 points. The max points, if everything goes to the bracket that's still available for Grant, is 1,560 points, 1,560. Mine, Dylan, is 1,460, and then Ethan's is 1,340. That TCU loss is
It's
a big bite now.
You know, it was a good game. They were definitely underseeded. They probably should have been flopped with Baylor, but what do I know?
Well, and it's funny, guys. As I was watching the two late games last night, I said, if Miami can pull this off, and if Gonzaga wins in terms of our bracket, I am set.
You win. Yeah,
I am dialed in. I am set. I'm glad. It was on the record. I switched to Indiana. I was about to. And then I said, I don't trust these guys. And, you know, with my Arkansas pick, boys, I'm not going to lie. Had I not picked them in the preseason and wanted to sound like I knew what I was talking about in October, I would have went with Kansas. But I stuck to my guns, like Ethan with TCU. Credit to him.
Yep.
I stuck to my guns, and it worked out for me. Thank you, Coach Musselman, and those beautiful hogs down there in Arkansas.
And
Take your shirt off in his honor, Grant, right now. Take it off.
I'm not gonna scare the people at YouTube like that.
You should thank Bill Self's great heart too.
Well, hey, the road to recovery starts now.
No more stress.
At that beautiful Kansas Medical Center. At least they tell me they got a nice hospital at KU. I don't know.
Who knows? Every college.
You know,
says-
after when they announced that he wasn't coaching that game, I should have been able to amend my pick because that was the whole reason I picked Kansas is because Bill Self as a 1 seed is basically a lock to get to the Sweet 16, but he wasn't coaching. I should have been able to amend that, but
you know, all jokes aside, even if he was coaching that game, it doesn't matter. They got
no.
bullied around. So to the people of Kansas, you had a hell of a run if you think about it. Last April, championship in basketball. This February, a lot of KU fans or Chiefs fans, Super Bowl. All good things must come to an end. So
And the football program had their best year
they had game day
since like 16 years. Exactly.
Game day was in Lawrence. So all in all, a good 11 months for the people of Lawrence. And like I said, all good things must come to an end. Now they got to watch the Royals for the next 5 months, unfortunately.
Should we do a moment of silence for them?
They might get third this year.
They might.
And you know, they got a nice.
Depends on how bad White Sox.
A possible brand new downtown stadium coming their way.
True.
That's true. Yeah.
You know, the people of Kansas.
And it'll actually be in Kansas, I believe.
No, it'll be in Missouri.
It'll be in Missouri still.
Yeah,
okay.
Missouri.
Yeah, they're never going into Kansas.
The NASCAR stadium though, they've talked about building down there. The NASCAR stadium that's in Kansas though, I believe.
It very, very, very well could be. I know Kansas.
I think it is, but because that's I think where the Chiefs have talked about building too.
I don't know.
But yeah, well, we're not here to discuss the city of Kansas City, but we just go up and down the bracket and then until we get to the Sweet 16. So Alabama, Texas A&M, Corpus Christi, Alabama 21-point win. There wasn't much. I don't know if you guys watched any of that game, but Alabama played like a 1 seed should have been like a 16 seed should have played out. And then this one I didn't get to watch. I know you guys did. It was the Maryland West Virginia 67-65. Now that was I think it was a back and forth game. I'll let you guys talk about that one since you were able to actually watch the game.
I think just Maryland's guards were able to somehow
They beat the pressure.
A little bit. They actually held the ball for a little bit.
Well,
like towards the end, first half was awful. Like Jameer Young looked like he's never played basketball before. But then he didn't have a good game, but they started hitting threes. Is really what got him back in.
Well, and then also, you know, you think about it, the first 12 minutes of that game, what did they? I think they had like 9 turnovers.
Yeah,
9 or 10 turnovers, and then when they stopped turning the ball over and they figured out West Virginia's press and pressure, they went on like a 35-14 run.
Mm-hmm.
And we're sitting back thinking, all right, let's go. Maryland's got this in the bag. And then, you know,
ate them up outside, and then second half that opened up the threes.
And then, you know, Bob Huggins like team, they never go away and they never quit. But Maryland was able to, pull away in the end.
Okay. So Maryland, after a good first year for their new coach, whose name escapes me,
Willard.
but Willard, yep,
Kevin.
Good first year for him coming from Seton Hall, and go down to the 5-12 matchup of the South was San Diego State Charleston. San Diego State 63, Charleston 57. I think this, if my memory serves, I watched a lot of basketball this weekend, and I'm trying to think. I believe that San Diego State was in control for most of this game, and they were able to survive a late Charleston push. Is that how that went? Correct.
Charleston actually led for a majority of the first half, probably till about like the 3 to 4 minute mark, and San Diego State finally hit some shots. But Charleston kind of made a run at the end. They got a scoot over on I don't even think it was a 50-50 call. The guy never really touched him or anything, and that gave him 3 free throws instead of going the other way, down 1, I believe. Or was it tied? I can't remember which.
They were down 1 at the time.
Yeah. That just kind of put the game away. That was with like 30 seconds left.
Well, and then, you know, they're a team where everybody said when they shoot, when they make their shots, they're a hard team to beat. Charleston they couldn't find a bucket.
Yeah, they struggled.
They struggled. And watching that, and watching their being able to watch San Diego State's second game against Furman, they play suffocating defense. Like they'll defend 94 feet
Mm-hmm. They're so
and
freaking long.
just wear teams down. And they're an experienced bunch too.
Yeah, Dutcher had a good team. Defensively, they were solid as hell.
Yeah. And then going down to the 4-13 matchup, one of the best games of opening day of the NCAA tournament, Virginia Furman 68, Virginia 67, in a game that Virginia felt like they were in control of most of the game, and then just unable to put Furman away. And then one of the most absolutely boneheaded passes by Virginia to just throw the ball up in the air with 7 seconds left. Furman hits a three. They go up 68-67, and that's how the score ends. But the guy who made that pass was also the same guy who passed to Kyle Guy in the Final Four against Auburn in 2019. And talk about like the just absolute opposites of the spectrum as far as you make the pass that gets Virginia over the hump, and then you have the duck of the year to end your career.
I'm not saying he threw the game on purpose, but I'm guessing he made more money for throwing that game than he did for his NIL this year.
Without question.
Like it was totally, he had to. There's no other explanation.
The fix was in. You know, his dad or mom was in deep.
You know, they're sitting in a suite at gunpoint. You know, if that doesn't blow this game, your parents come off. You know, it's just
they owed someone $20,000. They came in with the baseball bat and they said, "Hey, this is the third time we're here. Where's our money at?" Insert the Stewie Griffin, Brian Family Guy's name. Oh, you can't get by. Hey, where's my money? Just beats the living hell out of him. Where's my money at, man? Where's my money? And he said, we're up by 2 with 10 seconds left. Let me hook this thing to midcourt and see what happens. And then Furman does it, and the guy can see his family members again. And they're out of $30,000 in debt. So all in all, it couldn't be much better.
Yeah. And Virginia's out of the tournament. We don't got to watch that offense play.
You know, Virginia is the Iowa Hawkeye version of college basketball.
Yeah,
I could see that. Except Virginia's actually got a national title. They can claim.
I have nothing but respect for that. But you look at the style and the way they play, you're like, this isn't going to work. It's not.
It is terrible to watch.
Even Virginia's national title. A national title is a national title. But at the end of the day, they got lucky in 3 of those games. Well, their last 4 games.
They should have lost to Purdue, and I had that predicted.
Yeah, Purdue, and I can't.
That's probably why they suck now. They should have won that game. I picked it. They're cursed. It's very obvious because that's the last time they played outside of getting beat by double digits.
Yeah, so that tournament run, they shouldn't have done anything. And had the Auburn player just put his hands up and not jumped, we don't know if Kyle Guy makes or misses that shot. And then Auburn probably wins the national title.
Yeah, probably.
So it's kind of crazy. Their one tournament win, other teams gave those games away.
Yeah, well, that one that Purdue, they led for pretty much 98% of that game, and they blew it in the final, Matt Painter special. But down to the 6-11 matchup, Creighton NC State. It was a really good game. Creighton pretty much was in control of it. It never felt like there was any doubt that NC State was going to pull it off. But Ethan's preseason Final Four prediction moves on, and then Baylor, UC Santa Barbara, the Bears, that 18-point win over the Gauchos. Tight game at the first half, and then the Bears pull away. And then 7-10 matchup, Missouri, Utah State. Similarly, the Tigers never felt like they were ever threatened. The Aggies never gave Missouri much of a game, I didn't think. And then we'll go to the 2-15, another game I didn't get to see, but Princeton 59, a 15 seed over the 2 seed Arizona. What were your guys' thoughts on that game?
This was a game we didn't really pay any attention to. We had it on the side for a little bit, like, oh, this game's going to be over soon. It's fine. It's whatever. No one cares. Then we kept coming back looking. It's like, oh, it's close. It's close. Then the very end, that's when we actually kind of turned it on for like the last minute. We're like, holy shit. Like, SATs matter.
Oh my God. nerds, the nerds are going to beat the party animals.
Yeah, we started yelling nerds, and Boone was going nuts.
Nerds,
Like, he was pumped. Nerds. Yeah,
nerds.
it was great. And then when Farley Dickinson won, we started yelling, dicks. Well,
and the best part about that was Boone was super excited. His tail was wagging the whole time.
Yeah.
So for the rest of the weekend, whenever basketball was on, Grant randomly just goes, dicks.
His tail's probably wagging right now, Grant. He can hear you.
He just came inside from being outside, so we'll see how jacked up he is.
Here we go, boys.
Come on, Boone.
Oh, he wasn't even in.
No, not this time, but he's still happy.
And then another time it was just boys. Just, a couple of guys, a couple of boys hanging out watching basketball. So Boone loved that. So that was fun.
There you go. And then
no, but I have a question.
And then down to the
we talked Arizona.
Yep.
Kerr, number 25. Is that Steve's boy? That's got to be.
It has to.
It's not?
No, it's not. No.
That's horseshit. What fake Kerr is going to wear 25 and go to Arizona? What a fraud.
I don't know.
What a fraud.
Right?
I mean, that's the.
No wonder they lost.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's not.
Impersonate someone. That should be like prosecution.
I mean, that's a legacy number at that university. At least I thought, just off the cuff, I thought it was.
Yeah, no, that is not Steve's son. He has 3 children and an adopted child, according to Wikipedia. Wayne, Nick, Maddie, and Matthew.
All right.
So who the hell is this loser?
And who gave him that number?
I don't know.
Yeah, what a bunch of idiots.
Well, nobody said the University of Arizona.
Steve Kerr. Who cares?
That's horseshit. But you know what? Now I'm not even mad they lost.
Yeah, I had them losing in the Elite Eight anyways.
I
But
am Sweet 16, so it didn't matter.
But down to the East region, Purdue 58, Farley Dickinson 63. A team that many people said shouldn't be in the tournament because they didn't win their conference tournament, but Merrimack, the original Merrimack, the actual champion of whatever conference they're in, was not eligible because they were still in the transition process from Division II up to Division I. But Farley Dickinson making the best out of it after they beat Texas Southern. Their head coach, to his credit, said, "The more we watch, the more I think we can beat Purdue." And what do you know? They beat Purdue. Purdue is who we thought they were. They were Zach Edey and nothing else.
We let them off the hook.
No, we let them off the
hook. You want to crown them? Crown their ass.
But I didn't get to watch this game at all because when we were on Friday, we went and golfed at one of the simulators or one of the bars in town. And it was after we were kind of just hanging out, having some drinks. And then they changed all of the channels in the bar to watch the Denver Colorado College hockey game.
Yeah, that's pretty big.
Hey, man, you're in North Dakota, and it's the NCHC weekend, bro. You've got to expect that.
It is Western North Dakota. Nobody gives a shit about hockey out here.
Why didn't you guys throw stuff at the bartender and people to tell it to change it back?
Because while we were in the golf simulator, they got TVs next to it, and she was very nice and gave me the remote so we could flip back and forth to watch all the other games.
Oh, so you were able to still watch the games?
No, we were. This wasn't during the hockey games. This was while we were golfing. We only golfed for like 3 hours. This is after it was St. Patty's Day, so we were just kind of hanging out, having drinks, talking with people and visiting, and then all of a sudden they changed all the channels. And it'd be one thing like I could understand if UND was playing, but UND wasn't even playing.
So why did you pay?
Just walked out. Said 12 to this and walked out.
I didn't have to pay. My boss paid for the golf.
I would have said fuck it.
And I went home at like 8 o'clock.
Oh, so you're fine.
Well, I didn't get to see any of the game. I just got the notification that Farley Dickinson upset Purdue 63-58. So fill me in. What did I miss of this game?
Well, so
go ahead.
Essentially, when Purdue was in their half-court offense, when they tried to get the ball into Edey, Farley Dickinson would collapse on him. They'd have 2 or 3 guys on there, and they'd build a wall, and they'd say, you're not getting an easy bucket. So then Purdue, to start the telecast, the announcer said they want to put their 4 best shooters around Edey. They'd have 4 guys behind the 3-point line, wide open shots. They couldn't make any of them.
Couldn't hit water if they fell out of a boat.
At one point, a player on their team, one of their freshmen, I believe he's a freshman, he was doing so bad from the last 2 games. He was wide open. He didn't shoot. He pulled it.
That was Mason Gillis.
Thank you.
But number 0 or whatever.
He refused. He pulled a Russell Westbrook and passed wide open. Nobody within 10 of him.
Yeah. They were inside the free throw line, and this dude would just stand there with the ball.
He locked up. It's like he got the yips.
He had the yips. He had the Y word.
He airballed one probably by a good foot right prior to that. Then they never shot again.
And their only offense was on a rebound. Edey, being 6'5" or 7'5", would just literally stick his hand in the air and tip the ball out to one of the guys behind the 3-point line.
And more than likely Lawyer was. I think Lawyer and Edey were probably the only 2 guys that scored in the final 10 minutes.
And in the last 7 minutes, I think 7 minutes of the game, Purdue only scored 5 points.
It was just awful.
At one point, they caught the lead again. It was like 53-51, and they didn't. They scored 5 points the rest of the game.
The best part was the win. I think dagger, essentially the 3 by. Was it? I can't remember, Moore.
From the corner
for Farley Dickinson on what was it on? Basically, like catch and shoot shots, especially from where he was on 3. He shot 19% all year, and he just absolutely
it was just butter.
Oh yeah, not even close.
I mean it.
They should change it from March Madness to March Magic.
We could. But yeah, they couldn't do anything. Offensively, they had the yips, like we said. They locked up.
Then with 0.6 seconds left, they're throwing the ball and they're down 5 or whatever. Matt Painter's up there drawing a play, and I'm just like,
I saw that one.
It's just like,
you're not drawing a play. You're drawing up a catch and a shoot, and you're going to go down in the history books as fun.
Or you're just saying you all suck.
Exactly.
Yeah. Put your names in the transfer portal and get the hell out of West Lafayette.
Well, at that point, we might as well try to trade their basketball coach, because that's 3 years in a row they've lost to a double-digit team in the tournament.
And I think it was Big Cat that tweeted, this is literally rock bottom. You can't lose to a 17 seed.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because it was they went from it's 12, 13, 15, 16 or something like that.
Yeah, it went 13, 15, 16.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. So that's since they lost to Virginia in the Elite 8 or something, or whatever it was.
Yeah. Yeah, that would make
the year
sense.
after that, the tournament was canceled, thanks COVID. And then, Indianapolis, whoever they lost, it was North Texas. And then St. Peter's last year, and now these clowns.
Well, no, was it St. Peter's last year? I thought they beat Kentucky.
They beat Kentucky.
St. Peter's also beat Purdue in the Sweet 16, I'm saying.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. Yep.
Yeah, you're right.
North Carolina did us a favor and beat St. Peter's in the Elite 8.
That's right.
Yep.
But hey, tax season is coming up, and just like how we can't avoid the Feds on April 15th or 18th, we can't avoid Purdue choking in March. So I'm just glad they held up to their end of the bargain this year.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, that's true. I already got my taxes done and returned back to me, so I'm done worrying about that.
Just went on the.
But the FAU Memphis game, 66-65, which was a battle down to the end. It was a back and forth where one team felt like FAU had control of the game, and then Memphis would take control. It was just back and forth, and it felt like it was going to come down to the team that had the ball last, and it did with a late tip in by FAU.
Not going to lie, didn't watch that one. I picked Memphis, but obviously that did not go well. So
I just appreciate.
Yep. I had Memphis. I had Memphis beating Purdue in the second round, and right when I saw that Purdue lost, I'm like licking my chops, like, heck yeah, I'm going to get Memphis straight to the Sweet 16. and then
Yeah, no
they
thanks. The
lost.
Fighting Owls of
Yeah,
Florida Atlantic. Are there owls in Florida? Like seriously?
there's
All
owls
right,
everywhere.
Wait, there's only one. We got to go look. We got to
Well,
go to Florida.
the confusing part is Florida Atlantic. They're on the beach. Like I could see Central Florida where you got the bad case of swamp ass, where all them Gator boys are at, and it's just people who are smoking meth for breakfast. But on the Atlantic side,
Hey,
like really the owls?
maybe there's sand owls.
All right, fine.
Oh, there you go. That could
All
be.
right, well,
That could be.
There's sand
all right.
owls.
Well, if that's a thing, I take it back.
Yeah, it's settled. That's what they're named after. Is they're named after
All right,
sand
well,
owls.
I take it back.
Pretty obvious.
And then go down to the 5-12 matchup. Duke Oral Roberts in the East, and Duke was never threatened in this game at all. Oral Roberts was got down 15-0, could never come back. They lose 74-51. Nothing to discuss. Paul Mills probably maybe his last game. I don't know. That kind of talk has simmered down a little bit.
Where would he go?
But
there's so many guys.
Texas. He's been linked to Texas Tech.
Okay.
He's from that region. He was at Baylor for a long time, and then down to the Tennessee Louisiana game. I think all three of us had Tennessee losing in this matchup against Louisiana, but Tennessee pulled out a 3-point win, and they played a little bit of spoiler, which we'll get to in a little bit, but and then 6-11 Kentucky Providence. Ed Cooley loses his last game as the Friars head coach, 61-53. Kansas State 77-65 over Montana State. Kansas State led the whole way. Not much of a threat from the Bobcats. In the 7-10 matchup, Michigan State 72, USC 62. And it was back and forth in the first half, and then Michigan State got off to a strong start in the second half, and that basically just propelled them to a win. And Izzo lives on to see another weekend.
Whenever he's a 7 seed, man, you got to watch out. They're dangerous.
This is like I said when we did our preview last week, this is the type of team that he would take to the Elite Eight or Final Four, where they completely lay an egg in the Big Ten tournament, and then he gets time off. He just kind of salivates and looks at all the matchups, and the Izzo magic returns.
That's another thing. Death, taxes, and Izzo stepping up in March when he shouldn't.
Yep.
Down the last couple of years, so he's kind of brought himself back.
Well, didn't they lose a play-in game like last year or 2 years ago? Something like
to UCLA 2 years ago, yep.
Oh, yeah, and they lost to Duke last year.
Yep. I was hoping he was going to be the one that killed Coach K, but we even got sweeter revenge, which...
But never forget, Coach K's wife
and then
put their daughter in a closet. Don't forget that, folks.
Yeah. Fuck that.
Don't ever forget that.
His kids, they won't tell you this, but his kids are traumatized forever, and they still live at home with mom.
Ooh. Nice job, Coach K, you angel.
Yeah.
Yeah. R.I.P. Pete Goddard. We don't even know where he is. I think he got shipped to Siberia.
Oh, yeah, we're never seeing him again.
Nope. Marquette 78, Vermont 61. Not much there. Yep. I think that's what Vermont did. I think when they got back there, that's exactly what they did. It was a team maple syrup hunt and bear hunt and moose hunt.
They probably had
all
some
in one.
Pancakes or waffles with the fresh maple syrup as well.
True.
Yep. And then over to the Midwest, Houston 63-52 over Northern Kentucky. The way a 1 versus 16 game should go. 8-9 Iowa Auburn. Iowa put up a good fight. They just they fell short. They just felt like they couldn't make enough shots, and Fran McCaffrey still cannot find his way to the second weekend of the tournament.
Well, they were away from Carver Hawkeye Arena.
Yeah.
That is true, and playing in Birmingham, which is basically a road game.
I mean, that crowd wasn't super. I didn't think it was crazy.
I'm with you. I was surprised there was that few fans there.
The second round.
Well, it's not football season, so Auburn only cares about football.
Second round matchup versus Houston was a lot louder, but also at the same time, that could be just fans who wanted Houston to lose.
That is true. So, they were there. They were there for the early game and
the upset aspect of it.
And then Miami beat Drake 63-56, also a bracket killer for Ethan and I.
Drake absolutely.
And then,
oh my God, yeah, they couldn't buy a
yeah.
The last 4.5 minutes were up 7 at the under 4, and then they just blow it.
You got to give Miami some credit. They brought the pressure. They knew they were back.
Drake just caved.
Their coach finally realized, hey, we have better athletes than these guys. Let's put the pressure on, and it worked out for them.
Yep. And then Indiana, Kent State 71-60. Iowa State could not buy a bucket against Pitt at all. It was an awful game, and I'm pretty sure that I think his name was like Cyclone Ty or something, said that he was gonna glue his nuts to a table if Iowa State lost in the first round. So that guy's got to get his nuts glued to the table.
I was kind of an idiot. I'm going to call myself out here. I said Gabe Kalsher's had his one good NCAA game, and we all know Iowa State only wins when Gabe Kalsher plays well. And, well, he played like shit. So why I picked him to win.
This guy picked Pittsburgh, and thank you for that, Ethan, because
yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for listening to myself. I'm too obviously.
Well, it's funny. When Iowa State is either playing Kansas at home or for some reason, whenever they play Baylor, they look like an NBA team. Besides that,
3-0 versus Baylor.
Yeah, 3-0 against Baylor. They beat 1-1 against Kansas this year. I think 1-1. I know they won in Hilton. They look like an NBA team. And then you get them away from playing Baylor or Kansas at Hilton, and good God, sometimes this year they look like dodgeball. They look like Vince Vaughn's team. It was awful.
Same colors too.
I did not try that. I'm not gonna lie. It just came to me.
That just came to you. Yeah, a good analogy. Good analogy. We'll give it to you. Xavier, Kennesaw State. This was a good game. Kennesaw State was in the lead, and they just pissed it away against Xavier. Xavier, they had their teammates trying to fight each other in the huddle, and then Xavier woke up and took care of Kennesaw.
Sometimes I guess you got to punch your teammate to have good things happen.
Yep. In the 7-10 matchup, Texas A&M, Penn State. Texas A&M looked as bad as Buzz Williams' 3-piece suit he had on. We should get rid of the 3-piece suits in college basketball. You don't need 3 pieces. Just if you're gonna wear a tie, you just either don't wear a jacket or just wear a jacket and a tie. You don't need that 3rd piece. Texas Colgate 81-61 Texas. How a 2-15 matchup should look. Down into the West, 96 Kansas 96, Howard 68. Not a whole lot. That one was pretty much over from the start. That was a very, very ugly game if you were looking at it from Howard's perspective. And to even top it off, that made everything that much worse is you had to sit in and listen to Kamala Harris talk to you after.
Oh, that's who she was talking to?
And then
I saw.
Yeah. Because she's a Howard alum.
I saw some video of her talking.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was from this weekend.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh,
sure was.
There you go.
The more you know. And then Illinois can never be trusted until they actually win a game in the NCAA tournament, as Arkansas took care of them. St. Mary's VCU. St. Mary's was pretty much in control most of that game. UConn, Iona. Iona in Rick Pitino's last game as the Gales head coach. They hung in there for the first half, and then in the end, UConn's talent took over. And that was Pitino's last game coaching Iona, and it was announced today that he is the new head coach at St. John's. And keep an eye out for the
I think the Red Storm.
Yeah, the Red Storm.
6
Yeah,
years.
shout out to St. John's on the 6-year deal, having some balls.
Yeah.
Well, and I think they're gonna because I think the kind of the biggest deterring factor of why he wouldn't want that job is, I guess, their facilities, weight room, coaches' offices. They're all extremely outdated, and it sounds like they're going to be making a commitment to improving those. So part of that 6-year deal is included in that, I'm guessing. And yeah, he's going to be back in the NCAA tournament within the next couple of years, if not next year.
He's going to get all that New York talent.
And then the transfer portal, too.
It'll be disgusting.
Yeah, exactly.
When he's coming from Louisville with those facilities and such, I can't blame him for being a little spoiled.
KFC Yum Center.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then TCU, Arizona State. This was a good game. Arizona State had a chance to win and just couldn't quite get over the hump of the Horned Frogs.
So stupid.
Yeah. And then Gonzaga, Grand Canyon. Gonzaga looked like Gonzaga in the first round. Northwestern, Boise State. Northwestern pretty much controlled that game. There was not a whole lot to talk about. UCLA, UNC Asheville, 2-15, the way it should have been. Back up to the top, back up to the south. Alabama, Maryland, game that was close at half, and then Alabama just, shot the place up, and Maryland had didn't have a shot.
You're saying Alabama has a bunch of cold-blooded killers on their team?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Good. Did you see what Nick Saban said today?
Yeah, we don't believe in wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah. One of his players got in trouble, and he straight up said, "We don't believe in the wrong place at the wrong time." Just roasting Nate Oates, not a care.
Oh my God, that's fantastic.
And then San Diego State, Furman, 75-52, a dominating performance. Probably one of the best performances of the tournament so far was San Diego State. That suffocating defense we talked about earlier, and the Paladins could not do anything. Could not score. Couldn't have hit water if they fell out of a boat.
That is that's the March special, though. You get that crazy upset, and then 2 days later, you look like a 13 seed.
Yeah. And then Creighton, Baylor. Creighton 85, Baylor 76. Creighton led pretty much the whole way. And anytime it felt like Baylor was going to get close, Creighton would always land that knockout punch that gave them enough of a cushion to where Baylor just couldn't overcome it. And then Missouri, Princeton, also similar. Princeton led from the word go, and Missouri just could not do anything. So Princeton and the Nerds are on to the Sweet 16.
They cheat. They can tell exactly what angle they need to shoot it at every time for it to go in, and use the dimensions and everything. They're just.
So you're saying the fact that they know simple geometry is not fair? It's a advantage.
Yeah, they cheat.
Yep. Just imagine playing pool against them too. Then you're definitely screwed. Then
playing pool, I couldn't imagine trying to go against one of those nerds.
That's interesting, Grant. I thought you would be, good at pool, holding long sticks and going back and forth with it in your hands.
No, he just takes.
Oh, he takes.
It's funny.
That's what it is.
It's funny because he's absolutely right.
And then down to the east, Farley Dickinson, FAU, Florida Atlantic was, another back and forth game, and then in the end, I think Florida Atlantic just said, "Okay, we're done letting these guys hang around. We're gonna go flex our muscles," and they make it to the Elite Eight. But what a run by Farley Dickinson! It was fun. I think John Rothstein had a tweet about it. Don't cry because it's over, Farley Dickinson. Smile because it happened.
I got to say one thing about Farley Dickinson. Their head coach, not a good-looking dude.
No.
But he can coach basketball. So
doggone it, it brought me back to the line from my favorite childhood movie, The Lion King, when the Hyenas are talking about Lions, they go, "Man, is he ugly?"
And then going down is the Duke 52, Tennessee 65. Tennessee was in control most of this game. Jeremy Roach was in foul trouble. Probably should have fouled out in the game. It was absolutely a foul on him, but of course, Duke working the refs like they always do, always get their way when it comes to that. But they did not get their way in the final scoreboard, and their season is dead.
You can take your ass fucking championship and shove up your ass, Duke.
John Shire, that pretty boy wannabe basketball coach. He's going to do this again next year with 4 freshmen. He's going to get his ass kicked in the tournament, and it's going to be glorious.
The only way he's ever going to be good is if he shoves his kids in a closet.
That's
so
the key
you're
to success.
telling me that's what got Duke 5 national championships was Coach K's throwing those kids in the closet?
Yeah. Yep. Coach K made a deal with the devil.
That was the deal with the devil. He shoved his kids in the closet.
Yeah, he threw his kids in a closet.
So, and down to another blue blood that is dead in what also probably one of the best games on Sunday when Kansas State, Kentucky 75-69, a back and forth affair. Kansas State had the lead. Kentucky would have the lead. Kansas State would come back. Kentucky would come back. In the end, Kansas State got hot. Noel, what a stud. 5'8" assassin. And he ends Kentucky's run to the Final Four, which I had
Don't have Keontae Johnson here, considering he was.
And no, absolutely not.
3 years ago,
he was, and he had an incredible dunk in the first half.
Yeah.
They are a fun team to watch, and I'm really rooting for them to get to the Final Four. I think that would be very cool in their head coach's first year.
Yeah, I watched them a couple times, but they did not look that athletic throughout the year. They were freaky athletic versus Kentucky.
Yeah, and the crazy part too is they got out rebounded by like 15, and they still found a way to win.
A game. The dude's like a fucking vacuum.
He is a stud. He was fun to watch. And yeah, I think it was like 19-3 offensive rebounds in Kentucky's favor too.
Well, yeah, that's how they scored all their points. Well, and Sheboy, he's going to be the classic. He's a great college player, but he don't have a future after this. No, he's done. Shit. I don't even know if he could play in Spain or anywhere in Europe. I mean, the dude's done.
He's going to be back next year, just absolutely average.
Oh, yeah, he's just going to bully people. The whole SEC is going to be on injured reserve because they have to go against Oscar Sheboy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, do you know what? Well, like Cal's wondering how they lost. Well, and I guess Kansas State didn't shoot much better, but Kansas State got hot at the right time, and they made them at the end. Yeah. Kentucky was 4 of 20 from the 3-point line. Kansas State was 5 of 21. This was like watching basketball back in the 60s here.
Yeah. But yet it was still very exciting.
I'm just glad Kentucky lost because it's another early round loss for Calipari in the tournament. He's a snake. He's an asshole. He's an overrated head coach. Get out of here.
And they paid him like $100 million too. He's basically got a lifetime contract there, so he's not leaving either.
It's Kentucky.
Kentucky's stuck with him.
They still think Rick Pitino's there. They still think that they're living in the History Channel. They still think it's the 90s.
Well, and the funny part is watching Kentucky fans melt, where they want to get rid of him, but they know they can't.
Oh, yeah, and it's like, hypothetically speaking, if you could get rid of him, who's going to want to go to Kentucky? Not me.
No kidding.
Well, especially
no, they don't have cell service. There's people with a bunch. There's a bunch of people with no teeth there.
Especially how I shit on the state last week.
Yeah, you did. Yes, you did. And then Michigan State, Marquette. Michigan State 69, Marquette 60. Michigan State was in control. It's pretty much the whole game. And Ethan, one of Ethan's Final Four teams is done now.
Too. Yep. Bye-bye. Fuck you, White.
Wasn't he the Big East player of the year, too? Hey, what a pussy.
Yeah. like I texted the group. Look, he couldn't even dribble and chew gum at the same time yesterday. Like he literally looked like an absolute
Well, and like I
fucking
told
idiot
you
out
guys,
there.
I said after watching the first 3 minutes of this game, I knew Michigan State was going to win. It's over.
They were just terrible.
I mean,
And I predicted that one. One of the few. A blind squirrel
you
finds a
can't
nut
trust
every once in
Virginia,
a
you
while.
can't trust Arizona, and you can't trust Marquette. We should. Well, sorry, Shaka Smart.
No.
You can't trust Shaka Smart.
Yeah, Michigan broke him. He has not been the same since Michigan beat him and blew him off the court in 2013.
Was that his first year at Texas, or was he still at VCU then?
No, he was still at VCU. Yep, they beat. I don't remember who they beat, but then Michigan beat him by like 25 in the second half. Michigan shot the lights out, and he hasn't been the same since. And then going over to the Midwest, Houston 81, Auburn 64. Dominating second half by the Cougars. If they play like that, I don't see anybody beating them.
Nobody can beat
Ethan.
them. I'm not trying to be like mean here, but like they look like freaking monkeys on
They're
defense.
so
Their
long.
arms are so freaking long. They're absolutely fucking aliens.
And
Sasser looked good. He didn't look hurt at all. He played a great game.
Like, which one do you go for? Do you go Sasser, Mark, Shed? Like, it's insane. They're all just freaky, long, athletic, crazy sons of bitches.
Like in a way, they kind of almost remind you of that Baylor team from 2 years ago, with how athletic they are, how intense they are, and they just get after it on the defensive end, and they kind of break your will to live.
Yeah, they shouldn't have been in as much foul trouble as they were. There were some real.
Well, and that's the bullshit thing about this tournament. These refs want to make it about themselves. Let these guys get after it and play a little more physical out there. I'm not saying let it become a football game, but let them get after it a little bit. I'm sick of these chintzy ass, ridiculous foul calls. And Ethan, I know I bitched to you about that this weekend, so I'm sorry to do it to you again. But let them play the game, guys. Come on.
Yeah.
The worst one that I can remember is the 2017 national championship between Gonzaga and UNC, and where there was a foul every time down the court.
That game was almost fun to watch.
And it was just ticky-tack bullshit like the entire way. Luckily, the right team won, but still it was like, this is the national championship game. We didn't pay to watch refs blow whistles. We want to watch these guys battle it out.
I don't want to watch TV Teddy Valentine down there in the ACC. It's not about him.
No. And speaking of which, we'll go down to the ACC where Miami took care of Indiana. Close first half. Miami kind of got a stranglehold on it towards the end of the first half, and then Indiana battled back in the second half, kind of back and forth, and then Miami just pulled away. Just blew the doors right off of Indiana, and it was anytime it felt like Indiana was getting back in, Miami would go and hit a big shot and just end the in the hopes and dreams of Hoosier fans. And then in the Xavier Pitt game, Xavier 84, Pitt 73. It felt like Xavier controlled that game for most of it. Pitt didn't really challenge.
What's that? How big a win that game was. Like how big of a.
No, well, it was up to. I want to say it got up to a 20-point game at one point, didn't it?
Yeah, there was like 20 points, and then I think Xavier pulled out most of their guys, and then it came back down. But it was never in doubt.
Yeah, and then the opposite of the next game of the Penn State-Texas game, where Penn State was battling. Penn State gave them Texas everything they could handle. In the end, they just got cold at the end and couldn't find the bottom of the net. And Texas finds a way to move on to the Sweet 16. And then down to the West, which was an incredible game on Saturday, was the Kansas-Arkansas. Arkansas 72, Kansas 71. And for the longest time, this game felt like anytime Kansas led for most of it and felt like they were in control. But anytime Arkansas just hung around, and Kansas could never put them away. And then Arkansas finally was able to get over that hump and then make their shots at the end and make their free throws to win the game and get stops when they had to. And then Eric Musselman takes his shirt off. Great job by Musselman, an incredible coach. And hopefully he stays at Arkansas because I think he's got something really special going there.
But yeah, he's been to the Elite Eight 3 years in a row. He ain't going anywhere. Or 2 sorry,
Yep.
2 years in a
And
row.
then
This could possibly be 3.
I think he's been to the Sweet 16 3 years in a row.
That would make sense.
Because I think I want to say in 19 he got Nevada there. Was he coaching Arkansas?
I think he was
then?
at Nevada in 19. I think Arkansas his first year was 20. Or like 19, 20 when the season, of course, got.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. And then St. Mary's, UConn. UConn was controlled most of that game. I don't think it was that close of a 70-55 score like it indicates. St. Mary's could not score at all. And then TCU Gonzaga, which was the last game of the day. A great game, back and forth. And then in the end, Gonzaga 84-81 over TCU. But TCU with the shot that got either won you a lot of money or cost you a lot of money, depending on what you had of the TCU 4.5 spread.
Yeah,
didn't have either.
I know that, but I'm just saying that was a very hot button issue in the gambling world of where TCU. That's why you watch it until the end, where there were people pissed off that TCU was fouling with 0.7 seconds left. Gonzaga makes both the free throws, and then TCU rolls the ball all the way down, and they get probably about 2 or 3 feet behind the 3-point line. Guy picks it up, just cashes a 3, and TCU covers the 4.5.
Not too bad.
Not bad.
No. And then Northwestern UCLA wins 68-63. Northwestern battled. They kept it close, but in the end, UCLA just had a little bit too much for the Wildcats.
Northwestern had a good year.
They did. They were probably the most consistent team in the Big Ten, it seemed like.
Probably.
Because they were never like, felt like they were like a big jumper as far as the conference standings where, going into the last weekend, Michigan had a shot if they would have won out, or even they just had to beat Indiana the last game of the season and they would have gotten the 2 seed, but then they get all the way down to a 9. And, there was so much fluctuation within the Big Ten, but Northwestern was very consistent throughout the year.
Sorry, Boone's being very needy. He keeps whining.
Oh, all right. Well, that recaps the first round of the games. So let's get into the preview of the Sweet 16 games. First one is Alabama San Diego State. This is gonna be San Diego State's stifling defense, their toughest battle that they've faced all tournament. In the end, I think they're playing too well. They're on a mission. Whatever that horrible thing that happened within their program a few months ago, it seemed to have brought them together, and they've just been able to block out the noise. And I think in the end, Alabama pulls away late.
I'll take Alabama too. Brandon Miller hit a couple shots towards the end there that I think is going to help him a ton going forward. So if he starts hitting shots, I don't think San Diego State can beat him.
Well, yeah, exactly. Because he's the one piece that's been missing from Alabama after these first 2 games, and they still put up 80 both games. They look dialed in. It's almost like they have a us against the world mentality, and they're on a mission, and no one's going to stop them. And I don't know, San Diego State, their defense is, yes, it's stifling and it's all up in your face, but Alabama, they don't care where you're at. They're gonna chuck up their threes, and they got a hell of a shot. They're gonna make at least 40% of them, and probably advance on to the Elite Eight.
Yeah, and it sucks that San Diego State got stuck in Alabama's region, because other than that, they're you take them against anybody at this point. The way their defense is. Just a matter of if they can hit shots. I think that the only way San Diego State has a shot in this game is if they just go
They're going to have to shoot
unconscious
at least 43% from deep if you ask me to win this game.
Yeah, exactly. But we'll see. And then going down to the other game in the South region, Creighton, Princeton. Princeton, see if they can continue their magical run. Two very intelligent schools. Creighton's also known for their academic excellence, if you will. But in the end, I think Creighton's talent is going to be a little bit too much. I think Greg McDermott, with a week to prepare, I think he gets those boys ready to play, and he goes to his first Elite Eight appearance as a head coach.
Yeah, I think the Tigers' luck kind of runs out here. Creighton, I picked them before the season, picked them in this tournament to get this far, so I don't see a point to change now because they looked really damn good versus Baylor.
Yeah, like you said, it looks like it's about to strike midnight on Cinderella here for Princeton. Hey, it's a cool story, but now you're playing the big boys. You're playing the adults in the room, and a preseason top 10 team in Creighton. And they went through a lot this year. You start off 6-0. I think that you go at one point. You're what? Then you lose. They lost
six straight. They had injuries and like a bunch of weird rotational issues of what Anthony Wright put it. But then now they're playing well at the right time. Probably should be a lot higher than a 6 seed. And they've played like it so far this tournament. They're playing more like a 2 or a 3 seed.
Yeah.
But then going down to the East region, FAU versus Tennessee, and I don't know if I want to do this, but I think I might do it anyways. I really like the way Tennessee's playing right now, and I think I'm going to roll with them to go get over Rick Barnes and company to get over the hump and get to the Elite Eight and playing for a spot in the Final Four over FAU.
Yeah, I don't see how Florida Atlantic's going to get by a defense that just basically shut down 4 potential first round picks in the NBA draft. So yeah, I don't see them somehow overcoming all that to beat Tennessee.
Florida Atlantic, they mentioned in the broadcast, was one of the smallest teams in the country. They're playing a long, tall, athletic Tennessee team. You're not playing Farley Dickinson, where you're going to be able to get to the bucket. If you're Florida Atlantic, this is a Tennessee team who, like I said, they're long, they're tall, they're athletic, and they found something against Duke. I don't know what it was. I don't know what Rick Barnes said during a timeout. I don't know what one of his assistant coaches said. Maybe a player said something, but Tennessee, like I said, Tennessee looks dialed in, and I think they're pissed off from what people had to say last year and this year coming into this tournament, and they're going to roll on.
I would agree with you, and it's probably going to bite us in the ass because we made this rule last year. You should never trust Tennessee in March or a Rick Barnes team in March. But here we are. We're back on the train. They're going to the Elite Eight. And then going down to the second matchup in the East region, Kansas State, Michigan State. I like Kansas State in this one. I think Tom Izzo's reign runs out. I think in the end, Keontae Johnson, Noel, they're going to be too much for Michigan State, and Michigan State plays like a 7 seed again, and the clock strikes midnight on the Cinderella run for the Spartans.
Yeah, I have Kansas State too. I think they're too athletic for Michigan State, honestly. I think those last 3 to 4 minutes where Kansas State was actually hitting some threes, build some momentum going into this game where they can just kind of jump right from where they left. So I think this might be the best game of the weekend, though.
Yeah, it could be. It's there, especially of the Sweet 16 matchups. Yes, I would agree with you on that one for sure.
Real
and then
quick,
let's go over to the.
I'm going to disagree with you guys here. I think Tom's
Ooh.
and this staff and this team, they kind of got something out after the bad loss to Ohio State in the Big Ten tournament. Even in the regular season, that loss they should not have had at Carver Hawkeye Arena. This Michigan State team, they just kind of seem dialed in. They seem focused. Again, the classic Michigan State team shouldn't be here. And if Kansas State goes 5-21 from 3, they're not going to win this game again. They might make their shots, but you know what? I think the Spartans are playing hot, coming off this win against Marquette, and I think they somehow sneak into the Elite Eight.
Ooh, okay. Alrighty then. Then let's go over to the Midwest region of the Sweet 16. Houston, Miami, and which I think is going to be a defensive battle. I think the only way Miami wins this game is if Isaiah Wong goes off and he scores about 30 or so points. But I think the Houston defense, they're gonna shut that down. I'm sure Kelvin Sampson's been in their ear ever since they figured out they were playing Miami about how Wong is unstoppable. You guys aren't going to be able to guard him. I think that's not going to sit well in the Houston locker room, and they're going to go show their coach that no, we're going to play like a one seed. We're going to play the way we've been playing all year, and we're going to shut them down, and we're going to go on to the Elite Eight for the third straight year in a row.
Yeah, I like Houston in this game. I think they're back to Ethan's point. They're too long and too fast on defense. They're just gonna play in front of Miami. They're gonna make Miami take a lot of long contested shots. No easy buckets. No offensive rebounds for the Hurricanes to get second chance possessions. Houston's defense is the difference in this game in the Cougs' advance.
Make it a sweep. I just think the length is going to be too much because both Pack and Wong are on the
Yes, they are.
shorter side, I want to say, for guards. And just the length there is just too much, especially Mark. The dude is an absolute freaking alien. He's a point guard / shooting guard, but he has like a 6'8" wingspan. Like, they're not going to be able to shoot over him. They're not going to be able to get around him. Like, it's going to be
This Houston.
I think it's a blow up.
This Houston team looks like an NBA team. They look like an NBA team out here right now.
Like legit, if I would have known Sasser was this healthy, I would have picked him from the get go. Because if they play like they did in the second half, like nobody is going to come within 10 of them. Nobody.
No, I agree with you, Ethan. That was one of the best performances I've seen. And at the end of the day, though, they are college kids, so who knows what could happen. We've seen teams that have looked really good in the first weekend and then just absolutely lay an egg in their first in the Sweet 16 games. So we'll go down to the other game, Xavier, Texas. I think this is going to be a defensive battle. In the end, I think Texas's offensive talent and Sean Miller is on the other side coaching Xavier, and he is on the list of do not trust people in second weekends of the NCAA tournament. So I like Texas to advance, which sets up an all Texas Elite Eight with a spot to play in the Final Four in Houston.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know much about Xavier. Wasn't able to watch their games, this last weekend. But like I said last week, just the veteran leadership of this Texas team. They got players, Marcus Carr, who's played over 150 college basketball games. What they've been through this year with Chris Beard, they feel like it feels like a close, tight-knit team, and they really got this dialed in with all their talent. And Texas is gonna, advance. And said last week they're in my Final Four. I'm not backing down now.
I really want to take Xavier in this game because they can just shoot the living shit out of the ball. But I just think Texas is still playing too good to take them. Osen or whatever his name is, number 1, came back, and he scored like 20 straight 20 plus in like 4 straight games or something. Like, he's really just been the X factor with them to go along with how Texas can shoot. So I'm just going to roll with them. They're playing way too well right now.
Alrighty, and then we'll go down to the West region. Arkansas versus UConn. It's going to be I think this is going to be a fast-paced game. I think it's going to be up and down. It's going to be a defensive battle again. I have UConn in the Final Four. I'm going to roll with the Huskies. I think the Must Bus runs out of gas, and I think Dan Hurley's crew is going to be just a little bit too much for Arkansas.
Yeah, I think this is when Arkansas's inexperience in their youth catches up to them. Because when you watch that game on Saturday against Kansas, when they as a team slowed it down a little bit in the half court and actually ran offense, they were unstoppable. Kansas couldn't come near them. But they also had plenty of times in that game where they tried to make it. They played me ball, where they were freshmen and they were looking for the moment. And they had awful possessions and bad shots against a good team like UConn, who's well coached and they look dialed in. Also, that's going to come back to bite you in the ass. So, and the Final Four is in Houston. When the Final Four is in Houston, UConn goes, or just Texas in general. So, what? Why mess with tradition? So UConn in this game.
UConn's really starting to look like themselves from back when they were like number one in the country, probably late mid-December ish, probably right around there. Like they're getting back to that.
The last
now.
undefeated team in college basketball.
Yeah, they're getting back to that now. They're starting to hit threes more consistently. Like if there's a team that could probably challenge Houston, it probably is UConn at this point if they keep playing like it. So I'm taking UConn. They're scary right now. They made St. Mary's look absolutely like an average team, and they're not.
Yep, and that I guess that's now we've reached the end of our Sweet 16 matchups of Gonzaga UCLA. A bit of a revenge game from the 2021 season where Jalen Suggs ended UCLA's magical run in the Final Four, which was one of the best Final Four games of our time. And I think UCLA gets revenge. I think Drew Timme had the game of his life against TCU, carried them, put the team on his back. I think UCLA is going to be able to match up against him and shut him down and limit his ability and force other guys on the team to hit shots. So I like UCLA to advance to the Elite Eight.
Give me the Zags. And like I said last week, guys, this isn't Mark Few's most talented team at Gonzaga, and this team doesn't have the hype. But I think he's going to put on a coaching clinic. And then also those two injuries for UCLA to their backcourt, this is the week where I think it finally catches up to them. And Gonzaga is able to put up a defensive game plan where they slow the Bruins down. Timme gets his looks. He's efficient. He's effective. And I'll take the Zags in the Elite Eight.
Ooh, this bracket gives me a hope to get back into the into our bracket race, Grant, because I have both UConn and UCLA winning, and I think you've got Gonzaga going to the Final Four, so this is a big spot here. This is this is what you would call Saturday's moving day at the Masters. This game is moving. This is the moving game for the for our bracket challenge.
Last night when you were a little premature on the celebration, hey Grant, you did it. A lot of basketball left. A lot of basketball.
No, I think you did it. You got it. You have it in the bag.
I have yet to pick, I think, a higher seed, so I think that's the sole reason I'm going to take Gonzaga. This game just for whatever reason doesn't interest me whatsoever. I really don't care who wins this game. I don't think either team beats UConn. But basically, you're the sacrificial lamb to Alabama or UConn in the Elite Eight.
Yep. No, you had UConn beating Arkansas, so that's the only one where you had the higher seed beating a lower seed.
UConn's the 4.
UConn's a higher seed. What? UConn's lower.
UConn's a 4. Yeah.
Yeah, that's lower than Arkansas. Arkansas's like an 8.
Arkansas's an 8.
Yeah, I picked the.
Yeah, that's the only. Yeah, well, higher, lower.
I understood what Ethan was saying.
Yeah,
Okay,
I did not.
Dumb.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
It was it's Monday. Brain's not still always fully there.
Dylan,
but back up to the south.
At night at your time, you can't Monday excuse anymore. You're just having an off day, or you're just dumb.
Probably both. Can't rule it out. No one's ever claimed that I'm smart, and neither have I. But yeah, I just for some reason I was higher, lower. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes because the lower the number the seed is, the better the team is. So, I'm just going to stop talking. We're just going to go on to the Elite Eight, our Elite Eight matchups. And we all have Alabama Creighton. Alabama, like we said, I don't see them losing. I think they're playing too well. I think Brandon Miller found something in, like Ethan said, against Maryland late in that game. I think his confidence is shooting through the roof. And I like Alabama to advance to Houston. And then in the I guess you guys go.
I got Alabama too. Wait, we're doing Elite Eight. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong one. I guess I still have Alabama going. I think Creighton's just too much for them, but it'd be a good game. That'd probably be one of the better ones for that week.
Yeah, I mean, clean sweep. This is when the length and the athleticism for Alabama comes into play, and Creighton, they're just not going to be ready for it yet. And like I said, Alabama, they've used this incident in January as a rallying cry for this team, and they're locked in, they're dialed in. I think Nate Oates is the best coach in the country. They have the best player in Brandon Miller, and they're going to be in the Final Four. I'm not changing anything. Yes, sir.
Still rolling with the tide. All right, now let's go down to the East region where Ethan and I have Tennessee, Kansas State. And Kansas State really impressed me on Sunday. I'm not going to lie. I'm fully on board the Wildcat train. I'm going pro Chris Kleiman, pro Gene Taylor, former NDSU guys. I got to roll with them, and I don't trust Rick Barnes. So this is where Tennessee's luck runs out, and Kansas State is finding their way to a Final Four. There is a team from Kansas that's making the Final Four, and it's not the Jayhawks.
The Little Apple is going to be partying Saturday night. It's simple as that. Like, they're going to be at the Final Four.
The Little Apple is going to be partying in the Big Apple. Is that what you're saying?
No, not quite, because they're not. It's not New York. If the Final Four is in New York, then yes.
Yeah, but the East Regional is in New York.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, they're going to be partying in the Little Apple, in the Big Apple. So I don't know where the medium apple is, but everyone's happy.
Oh, God, this puts me in a tough spot right here because I have Tennessee, Michigan State. Snake bitten last year by the Vols. Snake bitten this past fall by their football team. I can't do it. It's going to Michigan State. It's a year. Izzo does it on these odd years when they shouldn't do it. Tennessee folds under pressure. Calm, cool, collected Spartans somehow find their way back into the Final Four as a 7 seed. This year. They say history repeats itself. This Michigan State team doesn't belong, kind of like their 2015 team when they played Duke. But I can't trust Tennessee in the Elite Eight when it matters the most.
Okay. All right. So right now on one side of the bracket, Ethan and I both have Alabama, Kansas State. Ethan, you haven't even gone yet, have you?
I put Kansas State.
Oh, okay. So we both have Alabama, Kansas State. Grant has Alabama, Michigan State. And then let's go over to the other side of the bracket where we all have Houston versus Texas in Kansas City in the Midwest region. And I'm rolling with the Cougars. I think their defense is going to be too good. Their offense, it's going to be a low scoring. Whatever the total is, probably take the under. And I have Houston in the Final Four. I have them in the national championship. I'm not gonna change that. And I'm thinking the Cougars roll into the lovely city of Houston, and they get to play in front of their home crowd at NRG Stadium.
Yeah, I got Houston. Simple as that. I mean, I already said that right now they're the best team in the tournament, and respectfully, Texas is good, but they're not as good as Houston.
Well, I had to start my bracket here, boys, and the one that matters on ESPN. I had Texas in the Final Four. I had Texas in the national championship game. But I had Texas losing the national championship game to Alabama. So I don't need them to win the national title. The Houston Cougars are playing the Final Four in their own backyard. I'm going to
Oh,
switch it
wow.
up.
Changing
I'm going
it
to switch
up.
it up here just because, like you said, like I've these last couple times, Houston's length and athleticism on defense is going to be too much for Texas. And I
especially with the two smaller guards.
Exactly. Marcus Carr, he's going to put up 17 shots in this game, and they're all going to be ugly because they're all going to be contested.
Marcus Carr, that's not the one that played at Minnesota, is it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Is it really?
Yeah, dude.
Yep.
Oh, I did not know that. He seems like he's been playing college basketball forever.
Player I think with over 150 games played. It was something like was it like 2,200 points, 700 rebounds, and 500 assists?
Yeah, because it's like 1 year at Pitt, 2 years at Minnesota, and this is his second year at Texas, so he's using his COVID year.
He started at Minnesota though, didn't he?
No, he was at Pittsburgh.
No, he started at Pitt. Okay, yeah. He's not the point guard I'm thinking of that got kicked off the team for tweeting out a video.
No, that was
Tyrann Mathieu.
Who?
It was some Matthew. I can't. Maybe his first name wasn't Tyrone, but
or Mason. Mason, that's what it was. Was it Nate Mason?
Nate Mason didn't get kicked off for that.
Or he was part of it though, wasn't he?
No, it was Dupree McBrayer was part of it, but he didn't get kicked off.
Oh, that's who it was.
For
okay.
Having fun recreationally.
Alrighty.
What a bunch of bullshit. It's cold.
What else are they going to do in Minnesota? It's cold there. They got to stay warm somehow. All right. Well, let's go down to the West region, and I have UConn, UCLA. You two have UConn, Gonzaga, and I have UConn in the Final Four. I'm going to roll with it. I think this is where UCLA's injuries catch up to them. UConn, like Ethan said, they're playing like they did in early December when they were the number one team in the country. I think Dan Hurley and company, they find their way back to Houston. It's just a date with destiny.
Well, I switched my last pick. Our ESPN bracket, Gonzaga's in the Final Four. They're losing to Alabama. They don't do me any good if they win the title. Go Huskies. We're switching it up. We're gonna switch it up this time again. Just because just watching UConn play this last weekend, they're hot. They're looking like they can really compete with either Alabama or Houston. And you know how I said this isn't the Zags' best team. Now it catches up to them. And unfortunately, Mark Few has had a couple slip-ups in the tournament like this. I don't think he's going to have a slip-up. I think he's just running into a buzzsaw. That is UConn. And UConn's they're just going to beat him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, UConn looks so good right now. It's hard not to pick them. So I'm not going to. Or I should say I am going to. Because they're just that good. And UCLA, I guess I picked Gonzaga.
Not this Gonzaga
team. They can't hang with them. No way.
Okay, well, so now we've got our Final Four matchup set. Little bits of some changes, some curveballs, if you will. Grant has switched it up with Houston going to the Final Four now, and UConn going with the Final Four. So we'll see what happens here. It's going to be exciting no matter what. Hopefully Team USA can finish off whoever they have to play in the World Baseball Classic tomorrow. This will be over by the time. So hopefully we'll be next podcast we can be celebrating a Team USA win in the World Baseball Classic. But before we wrap up the show, we got to finish like we always do. We're going to go with Curveball of the Week, and I have it this week. So now, a couple of weeks ago, Ethan, asked, what everybody's favorite lift is. So, and this got me thinking here. Now, you guys, this is you're doing a lift here, your favorite lift, and you're going for a new PR. What song are you playing in your headphones that's getting you jacked and getting you amped up to go get that new PR or get that one more rep?
It's not a song, but it happened the other day when I was running. It's the NCAA basketball, like the NCAA tournament song. Like I got so freaking yoked when I was running when I heard that. I was like, "Holy shit, guys!"
I like
it's
it.
not one shining moment.
Like, holy hell! No, God, it was great. I was so pumped.
Oh, that's a great question, Dylan. And for me, the song that I'm about to say, it puts me, when I hear the song, I can visualize I'm at this location. You're getting fired up for a big game. 69, 70,000 people are getting amped up. It's Back in Black by AC/DC.
Oh, good one.
Ooh, it's like you're at Kinnick Stadium.
The Swarm is starting. The Hawks are about to come onto the field. You're almost getting ready for kickoff. It's just, the 80s rock. It's blasting in your ear. The volume is up way too high. You're ready to feel like you're ready to move mountains, which is what you're doing when you hit this PR right there. So yeah, when Back in Black comes on, it gets me going to a different gear. And then also another ACDC song, words Grant, would be "You Shook Me All Night Long." You get those two going, I'm in a different zone, and there's no way I'm not pushing this weight.
Okay. All righty. So March Madness song for Ethan, AC/DC for Grant. And mine, you guys probably do not know this song, but this was from a recurring guest, Zach Willis, if he's listening, shout out Zach. This was his go-to song, and he was talking about it on his Benchwarmers podcast he does. And I'm like, I have to go hear this. And this has been my go-to pump-up song ever since I've heard it. Like I for the most part, I haven't stopped listening to it. It is Wolf Totem by the Who. It is like I don't know what country it's from. There's no words to it, but it's just like a war chant, and it takes you to a dark place where you just focus in on what you have to do, and you're just pumping those reps out.
Dylan? Wolf Totem. I'm gonna have to check
Wolf
that out.
Totem.
Here.
Yeah, well, here I'll play it as we wrap up. So, thank you guys. You guys got anything else? Actually,
another great weekend of basketball coming up. Ethan and I bought tickets to the Twins home opener. Baby, let's go. We're banging the track.
Ooh. When is that day?
April 6th. It's a Thursday.
Against the Houston.
Okay. All righty. Well.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, how exciting! This is a very Houston podcast. I don't think probably the most we've ever talked about that wonderful city. And with that wraps up episode 70 of the Three Guys Talking Ball podcast. Check us out on all of our social media platforms, Facebook and YouTube. Subscribe to both, but subscribe to YouTube so you don't miss a day where we post posting the full video version, and then we'll be posting the segments on Friday. And then TikTok, Instagram, Twitter at 3GTV Podcast. We'll be posting other content of the show and clips of it as well. And we'll be interacting with you guys. If you guys leave a comment or share or post anything with us, we love talking to you guys. So with that wraps the Three Guys Talking Ball podcast up. We'll talk to you next